will not be the first to speak. Certainly not. Mr. Worthing, I have something very particular to ask you. Much depends on your reply.
Gwendolyn, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrief, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I might have the opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not?
Yes, dear, if you can believe him.
I don't, but that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer.
True, in matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital thing. Mr. Worthing, what explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have brother? Was it in order that you might have the opportunity of coming up to town to see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the gravest doubts upon the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not the moment for German skepticism. Their explanations appear to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That seems to me to have a stump of truth upon it.
I'm more than content with what Mr. Moncrief said. His voice alone inspires me with absolute credulity.
Then you think we should forgive them?
Yes.
I mean, no! True, I had forgotten. There are principles at stake which one cannot surrender. But which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one.
Could we not both speak at the same time?
An excellent idea. I nearly always speak at the same time as other people. Will you take the time for me?
Certainly.
Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier. That is all.
Our Christian names? Is that all? But we are going to be christened this afternoon.
For me, you are prepared to do this terrible thing?
I am.
To please me, you ready to face this fearful ordeal?
I am.
How absurd the talk of the equality of the sexes, where questions of self-sacrifice are concerned. Men are infinitely beyond us.
We are.
They have moments of physical courage, of which we women know absolutely nothing.
Darling.
Darling.
Lady Bracknell.
Good heavens!
The boss.
Gwendolyn, what does this mean?
Merely that I've engaged Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Come here. Sit down. Sit down immediately! Hesitation of any kind is a sign of mental decay in the young and a physical weakness in the old. Apprised, sir, of my daughter's sudden flight by her trusty maid, whose confidence I purchased by means of a small coin. I followed her at once by a luggage train. Her unhappy father is, I am glad to say, under the impression that she is attending a more than usually lengthy lecture by the University Extension Scheme on influence on thought. I do not propose to undeceive him. Indeed, I've never undeceived him on any question I consider it wrong. But you will clearly understand that all communication between yourself and my daughter will cease from this moment. On this point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
I'm engaged to be married to Gwendolyn, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind, sir. And now, as regards Algernon. Algernon!
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
May I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
No, Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury's not here at the present. I killed him this afternoon. I mean, he died.
What did he die of?
Well, he was quite exploded.
Exploded? Was he the victim of a revolutionary outrage? I was not aware that Mr. Bunbury was interested in social legislation. If so, he is well punished for his morbidity.
No. I mean to say that he was found out. I mean that the doctors found out that he could not live anymore. So, he died.
He seems to have had great confidence in the opinion of his physicians. I am glad, however, that he made up his mind and took some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we are finally rid of this Mr. Bunbury, Mr. Worthing, may I ask who is that young person whose hand my nephew Algernon seems to be holding in a somewhat unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I am engaged to be married to Cecily.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Moncrief and I are engaged to be married to Lady Bracknell.
I do not know whether there is anything peculiarly exciting in the air in this particular part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me considerably above the average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I think some preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all connected with any of the larger railway stations in London? I merely desire information. Until yesterday, I had no idea there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of the late Mr. Thomas Cardew, of 149 Belgrave Square, SW, Jervis Park, Dorking, Surrey, and the Sporran, 5th shire, NB.
That sounds not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court guides of the period. They are open to your inspection, Lady Bracknell.
I have known strange errors of that publication.
Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Markby, and Markby. A firm of the very highest position of their profession. Indeed, I am told one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen at dinner parties. So far, I am satisfied.
How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I have also in my possession, you'll be pleased to hear, documentation of her birth, baptism, whooping cough, confirmation, registration, vaccination, and the measles, both the English and the German varieties.
Ah, life crowded with incident, I see. Though perhaps somewhat too exciting for a young girl. I myself am not in favor of premature experiences. Come, the time approaches for our departure. As a matter of form, Mr. Worthing, I had better ask you if Miss Cardew has any little fortune.
Oh, merely £350,000 in the funds. That is all. Good day, Lady Bracknell. So pleased to have seen you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. £350,000! And in the funds! Miss Cardew seems to me a most attractive young lady now that I look at her. Few girls of the present day have any really solid qualities. Qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come here, dear child. Pretty child, your dress is sadly simple. And your hair looks as if nature might have left it. But we can soon alter all that. A thoroughly experienced French maid can produce a really marvelous result in a brief space of time. I remember recommending one to a young Lady Lansing, and after 3 months, her own husband did not know her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn round, sweet child. No, the side view is what I wanted. Yes, quite as I expected, there are distinct social possibilities in your profile, Miss Cardew. The chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends on the way the chin is worn. They are worn very high at present. Algernon?
Yes, Dr. Hester.
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
I don't care tuppence about social possibilities.
Never speak disrespectfully of society, Algernon! Only people who can't get into it do that! Dear child, you must know that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend upon. But indeed, I do not approve of mercenary marriages. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind. but I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must give my consent.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
Cecily, you may kiss me.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may also address me as Aunt Augusta for the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
And the marriage, I think, had better take place quite soon.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
I am not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character before marriage. Which I think is never advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell. But I am Cecily's guardian. She cannot marry without my consent. That consent I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds? Algernon is an extremely, I may almost say ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing and looks everything. What more can one desire?
It pains me very much to be forced to speak frankly to you about your nephew, Lady Bracknell, but I must say that I did not approve at all of Algy's moral character, and I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew Algernon? Impossible! He is an Oxonian.
I'm afraid there can be no possible doubt about the matter. Earlier this afternoon, during my temporary absence to London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by means of a false pretense of being my younger brother, and, I've just been informed by my butler, drank under an assumed name an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet, Brut 89, wine I was specially reserving for myself. To continue his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in alienating the affections of my only ward, and, to make the matters all the more harmless, he was perfectly well aware the entire time that I have no brother, I've never had a brother, and I have no intent of ever having one in the future. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
After careful consideration, I decided entirely to overlook my nephew's conduct to you.
How extremely generous of you, Lady Bracknell, but I'm afraid that my consent I shall not give.
Come here, dear child. How old are you?
Well, I'm really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
You are perfectly right in making some slight alteration. No woman should ever be quite accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20. Well, it won't be long before you're of age and free from the restraints of tutelage, so your guardian's consent is, after all, a matter of no importance.
Pray excuse me for interrupting you again, Lady Bracknell, but I feel it is my responsibility to inform you that according to her grandfather's will, she does not come of age until she is 35.
I see no grave objection with the age you mention. London society is full of women of the highest birth who have, of their own choice, remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is an instant in point. To my knowledge, she has remained 35 ever since reaching the age of 40. Which was many years ago now. I see no reason why our dear Cecily should not be even more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is at present. There will be a large accumulation of property.
Algy, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily.
Yes, I felt it instinctively, but I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting, even 5 minutes for anybody, and waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Cecily, then, what shall we do?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrief.
My dear Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew positively states that she cannot wait until she is 35, a remark which I am bound to say seems to show a somewhat impatient nature. I would beg of you to reconsider your decision.
Oh, but my dear Lady Bracknell, the matter is entirely in your hands. As soon as you consent to my marriage with Gwendolen, I will surely allow your nephew to marry my ward.
You must be quite aware that what you propose is out of the question.
Then I'm afraid a passionate celibacy is all that any of us can look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. Come, we have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more might expose us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
The christening, sir? Is not that somewhat premature?
Both of these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I forbid you to be baptized. I will not hear of such excesses. Lord Bracknell would be highly displeased if he learned this was the way in which you wasted your time and money.
Am I to understand that there are to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I'm afraid that under the circumstances, it would not be a particular gain to either of us.
I am grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. But, as your present mood seems to be one peculiarly secular, I shall return to the church at once. Indeed, I have just been informed by the pew opener that for the last hour and a half, Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell. I am on my way to join her.
Pray allow me to detain you for a moment. This may be a matter of vital importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a female of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies, the very picture of respectability.
It is obviously the same person. What position does she hold in your household?
I am a
Miss
separate
Prism,
matter.
Lady Bracknell, has been for the last 3 years Cecily's esteemed governess and valued companion.
In spite of what I hear of her, I must see her at once. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She's nigh.
I was told you expected in the vestry, dear Kenneth. I've been waiting for you for an hour and 3/4.
Prism. Come here, Prism! Prism! Where is that baby? 28 years ago, you left Lord Bracknell's house, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, through the elaborate investigations of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was found at midnight, standing on a remote corner of Bayswater. It contained the manuscripts of a 3-volume novel of more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there! Prism! Where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are this. On the morning of the day you mentioned, the day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in its own perambulator. I also had with me a somewhat old but capacious handbag in which I had intended to place a manuscript of a work of fiction that I had written during few of my unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, which I can never forgive myself, I placed the manuscript in the bassinet and put the baby in the handbag.
Yes, but where's the handbag now?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, I insist on knowing. It is of no small importance to me.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
Yes, which one?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must return to my room for a moment. Gwendolyn, you wait here for me?
If you are not too long, I will wait here for you all my life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect Dr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to occur. They are hardly considered the thing.
Uncle Jackson's strangely agitated.
Your guardian has a very emotional nature.
This noise is extremely unpleasant. It sounds as if we are having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
It is not now.
I wish you would arrive at some conclusion.
This suspense is terrible. I hope it will
lost.
Miss Prism, is this the handbag? Please, examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends on your answer.
It seems to be mine. Yes, here's the injury received through the upsetting of the Gold Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here's the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of the temperance beverage on incident occurred at Leamington. And here's the look of my initials. I had forgotten that in extravagant mood I had had the place there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I am so delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It has been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more is restored to you. This is the handbag. I was the baby you placed in it.
You?
Yes, mother!
Mr. Bunting, I am unmarried.
Unmarried, no doubt, is a serious blow. But who can cast a stone against one who has suffered? Cannot repent it without an act of folly. I forgive you, mother.
Mr. Worthing, there is some error. There is the lady who can tell who you really are.
I hate to seem inquisitive, Lady Bracknell, but would you kindly inform me as to who I am?
I'm afraid that the news I have to give you will not entirely please you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrief, and consequently, Algernon's elder brother.
Algy's elder brother? Then I have a brother after all. Cecily, how could you ever have doubted that I had a brother? Algy, Dr. Charles, my unfortunate brother. Miss Prism, my unfortunate brother. Gwendolyn, my unfortunate brother. Algy, you young scoundrel. You've never treated me like a brother your entire life. You've got to treat me with a lot more respect now.
Well, I admit I was a little bit out of practice.
My own. But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Good heavens, I completely forgot the matter. I suppose your opinion on the subject of my name is irrevocable?
I never change, except in my affections.
What a noble nature you have, Gwendolyn.
The matter had better been cleared up at once. Aunt Augusta, a moment. Before I had been left in the handbag, had I been christened already?
Every luxury that money could buy had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents.
Yes, then I had been christened. That is settled. But what name was I given? Let me know the worst.
Being the eldest, you were naturally christened after your father.
Yes, but what was my father's name?
I cannot at the present recall the general's Christian name. He was eccentric, but only in later years, and that was a result of the Indian climate, marriage, indigestion, and other things of that kind.
Algy! Surely you can remember our own father's Christian name.
We were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
Aunt Augusta, I suppose his name would appear in the army list of the period?
The general was essentially a man of peace, except in his domestic life. But I've no doubt his name would appear in any military directory.
The army list of the last 40 years are here. These delightful records have been my constant study. M. Generals, Malin, Moxby, Magsby, what ghastly names they have. Mobs, Moncrief, Lieutenant 1840, 1869, Lieutenant Colonel, Christian names, Earnest, John. Gwendolyn, I always told you my name was Ernest. It naturally is Ernest.
Yes, I remember now that the general was called Earnest. I knew I had some reason for disliking the name.
Ernest, my own Ernest. I felt from the first you could have no other name.
Gwendolyn, it is terrible for a man to learn that his entire life he's been telling nothing but the truth. Can you ever forgive me?
I can, for I feel you are sure to change.
My own one. Letitia.
Frederick, at last!
Cecily, at last.
Gwendolyn, at last.
My nephew, you seem to be displaying signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I've now realized for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest.